Life just got a little bit better. God exists, and God is good. I should know, because there was a time where life was just a teeny tiny bit better because we had Mario RPGs. Mario RPGs that were just amazing Mario games. For some, even just one series' existence is precious, and for others, you never know what you had until it's gone. That applies to Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi. RPGs within the Mario franchise, each taking their own unique spin on the genre, with their own mechanics, styles, stories, and adventures. The 2010s was a constant downward spiral in how many Mario RPGs we got, and the statuses of their respective development teams. For starters, one we're all familiar with, Paper Mario going in a different direction that's garnered quite more than a fair share of criticism and distaste for one reason or another. You've been knowing about the combat, the writing, the lack of original characters, creative stories, and whatnot. I know it's a broken record busted in billions of pieces being looked at again, but you can never overstate just how much millions of people did not like the direction the series was going in when Sticker Star dropped. In recent years, it's seen some slight tweaking and some boundary pushing within the new vision and the limitations the series was going through. Paper Mario the Origami King saw significantly more support and love for that game because of that and other stuff the game offered, but the majority of the same reservations, the same criticisms and wishes of the last decade of Paper Mario games still persisted. Fans of and non-fans of the Origami King did still express wishes for more genuine original characters with real names and more distinctive designs, names, proper backgrounds, races, a battle system at least a little more thought out and considerably more incentivizing to partake in, yada yada yada. You already know the story. Even with Origami King's strong suits and benefits to the overall package, there was still very loud, cascading, voluminous feedback all the same. The once RPG Mario series, filled with charm, creativity, and fun factor, is certainly increasing its charm since Sticker Star. Origami King does have a lot more charm, and still up there in fun factor for a lot of people regardless, but lacking in a ton more than it could have still, and being unfairly limited on just how creative it can be like it used to. Mario and Luigi is of course a similar case in the series suffering from some form of a shift in approach and long-term vision. I'm starting to see from more people this specific thing, and this is something I did partially feel before Dream Team came out, but quite a few people have felt Mario and Luigi as a series peaked at Bowser's Inside Story, and even felt it should have just stopped there. Partners in Time was seen as the weakest entry in the original trilogy. I love Partners in Time, but Bowser's Inside Story felt like a conclusive end to a saga that was stretched and connected to the very beginning of Superstar Saga, and the latter saw just as many praises and high eulogies as the former. Dream Team still wound up being very creative and charismatic for Mario and Luigi, but people could tell it was very derivative from Bowser's Inside Story. Dream world over insides of the character, messing with the character's body physically, affecting the dream world internally, just like Bowser's body, giant battles specific to the dream world, returning characters I don't think anyone really expected to return beyond the main four Mario characters. Like, it's really hard to pretend the vast majority of concepts and ideas are just ripped straight from Bowser's Inside Story, more than any other title in the series. That and a couple other things made people feel, specifically, the spark of the series just wasn't fully there. Like, it was gone, basically. It didn't quite hit the best notes Inside Story or Superstar Saga hit. Like, the series was past its prime, more or less. But Paper Jam following up Dream Team kind of reaped very similar problems Paper Mario was facing. The one game in the series to boast significantly watered down character roster, story scope, ideas, and whatnot, beguiling traits that make Mario and Luigi what it is, at least half of it. Still a funny game, still a game that gave a lot of pre-established Mario characters like Kamek, Toadette, and even the Koopalings, the first Mario game to do it specifically with the Koopalings, a more layered personality with goals, quirks, and habits we haven't seen before up until now, a still fantastic battle system, just as good as previous games, in some ways the best the series has seen up until this point. In my opinion, the worst Mario and Luigi, that's still better than half of Paper Mario's lineup of games, but blatantly the black sheep of the Mario and Luigi series for good reason all the same. Only to be followed by remake after remake on a system fading into disinterest and apathy. Nothing really pushing the series forward at a point where staleness and the feeling of a lack of a true evolution, true innovation for the series. The cherry on top of all of this being Mario and Luigi's only studio being shut down, filing bankruptcy. Mario and Luigi's fate seemed significantly bleaker than Paper Mario's in a lot of ways. And all of this withstanding the fact that while beloved, cherished and quality Mario series and games with millions of fans regardless, spiritual successors to the original cult classic Super Mario RPG on the SNES that in of itself has a cult following but is one of a kind in multiple ways. These are franchises of Mario that see significantly less success and love compared to most other Mario series. As much as I love both series, the idea that some of their respective titles are flat out some of Mario's absolute best games of all time, their pedigree and notoriety pales in comparison to most other Mario series. And it's not like Nintendo provided any transparency on Mario and Luigi, much less the fact the Intelligence System seems super hard-pressed, so sure of themselves, in almost every single interview imaginable for Color Splash and particularly Origami King on not associating anything with Paper Mario's classic style. Suffice to say, it felt like Mario RPGs were suffering from a drought unfamiliar to any of these series and games. The period between the mid-2010s and early 2020s were some of the absolute bleakest Mario RPGs have ever seen. But wait, what is this? An era where the impossible became possible? A rejuvenation of history continuing once again? An awakening within Nintendo? A renaissance? Yes, it is indeed a renaissance, which leads us to June of 2023. The lowest period of Mario RPGs truly felt like it was turning around when a remake of Super Mario RPG was revealed. I get it, it's a remake, not a new game, I get it, but the original Mario RPG that started it all, the one that was basically one of its kind, yeah, it went on to inspire Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario with similar RPG mechanics and some similar approaches in some stories and writing, but they've become their own special Mario RPG series only they can provide and be the way that they are. RPG itself always was just the one sole game of its kind, and it always had dedicated fans and support behind it. It's a game that held up for decades, but I highly doubt many people were expecting RPG in particular to be given a whole remake comprised of modern technology and hardware. A game that held up well, hardly resold on any Nintendo platform besides the Wii, maybe Wii U Virtual Console, I don't remember. So it might have just been a classic SNES title amongst hundreds Nintendo felt it could warrant being remade with better graphics and some quality of life features, but regardless, it's a wacky, creative, and lovable Mario adventure even more people got the chance to experience and enjoy during the Switch era. It was the first proper return to a Mario RPG game in years. And looky here, another remake of arguably the most beloved Mario RPG, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, following 3 months after RPG in another Nintendo Direct. A remake of the one Paper Mario diehard fans would constantly compare the modern games to, the one infinitely revered as the series peak. And let's just talk about the fact Thousand Year Door and RPG are remakes, solely because they're remakes. Some people don't count those two as the return to forms, and once again, trust me, I get it. I really do. If Paper Mario got a brand new game in a style akin to Thousand Year Doors with new characters, gimmicks, story and such, then it would be a bigger deal. It would mean way more than just remaking a 20-year-old game that already had this unique and creative stuff. Same goes for RPG. I get the sentiment, I get the mindset and logic. That's a sentiment I feel hardly amounts to that many fans in the grand scheme though. It feels like underselling the greater significance of the existence of these remakes from a vocal minority. Like, once again, did anyone ever expect RPG itself to get any sort of marginally grand comeback? The way Geno and other RPG specific references popped up in Superstar Saga, Smash Brothers. I'm almost 100% positive until the remake, nobody really genuinely thought with decent confidence Mario RPG would get remade, remastered, direct sequel, a major newcomer in Smash, anything like that, the closest thing being Geno supporters for Smash. But even then, that's not the biggest thing it could have gotten directly for the series, or just the game itself. All of this especially applied to Thousand Year Door. Even almost an entire year later, even after the game already was announced, even now, after the game is out and people are playing it, there's still people that just can't believe this remake exists. RPG getting remade is a miracle to me. Thousand Year Door getting remade is a miracle 100 times bigger. I question almost every day whether they really went and remade Thousand Year Door. I literally ask, like, they remade Thousand Year Door. They really remade Thousand Year Door? The developers of Paper Mario themselves expressed in Color Splash and Origami King that they were not allowed to create or integrate Mario characters that didn't touch on the Mario world itself. They had to run unique designs and characters through an IP team that's very strict. They had zero interest in returning to the RPG format for the first 2 games set. Every Paper Mario after Super was basically forbidden from being anything like 64 or Thousand Year Door. Even Origami King, with the insanely minimal partner integration, the surface level accessory mechanic similar to badges, it's still a heavy far cry from Thousand Year Door, and still way more akin to the recent 2 entries prior in its own more charming and expansive way. The sheer fact they remade Thousand Year Door from the ground up and added all these animations, a lot of quality of life stuff, from better fast travel to the Shine Sprite and Star Piece tracking, extra bosses, a few new characters and other stuff. The fact they made Thousand Year Door, an older game that held up remarkably well, feel modern and fresh in spite of everything they've said regarding the entire series, is truly astonishing. Once again, same for RPG. They're giving the RPG mechanics and concepts for Paper Mario a second chance. They objectively saw some value in retrying that specific formula for Paper Mario by making this remake at all. And while the original version of these 2 games didn't sell the greatest, they're still very popular to pretty much everyone who's even touched RPG or Thousand Year Door. Topped with the fact that RPG sold solid and Thousand Year Door a little less so, but the former's remake outperformed the original's lifetime sales in just a matter of weeks. 6 weeks. And we've yet to hear about Thousand Year Door's concrete sales numbers, but rest assured it being on Switch helps a lot. And the pedigree people hold this game up to, how much has been talked about for more than a decade now. Now millions of new people, new Nintendo and Mario fans, are getting the chance to play a better version of Thousand Year Door, and a better version of RPG. Versions that in RPG's case outsold the original's lifetime sales in sheer weeks for it to pass 3 million units, and still likely for Thousand Year Door to sell really well as well, with the original not selling that high at all. There's several clear reasons to why people are excited and overjoyed these remakes exist. Inventive Mario RPGs with originality, flair, depth, and sauce that offer ingenious ideas Mario was forbidden to be most of the 2010s, and seemed needlessly stricter and more overbearing with Paper Mario. Paper Mario could not be, do, or evolve anything from Thousand Year Door. That in of itself is why me and most people don't care about the fact these games are remakes, why we feel that matters extremely little. I get why naysayers care about that, but over 95% of Switch, Mario, Nintendo, Mario RPG fans just flat out don't. It's basically semantics at this point. So yeah, while not new, extremely welcome and beautiful turns of events with both these remakes. And these beautiful turns of events just keep on coming, and they won't stop coming, and they won't stop coming, and they won't stop coming. Even for those 2 games that are remakes. At least in Mario and Luigi's case, yes, Mario and Luigi. That's getting a new game after almost a decade. Mario and Luigi Brothership. And it looks like an extremely strong return to form for this series. All the while, it's a brand new adventure with new characters, locations, a new story, expanding on Mario and Luigi's core combat, an amazing scope that's way bigger than any Mario and Luigi prior, a marvelous looking follow-up, after honestly both Dream Team and not just Paper Jam. Even with the prior remakes, after Alpha Dream's departure, Mario and Luigi getting a new title after 9 years in some ways is an even bigger deal than what Paper Mario and what the Thousand Year Door remake did. Another straight miracle of a scenario, Brothership looks phenomenal and only drops in less than 5 months. We'll pretty much blink 4 times, breathe 4 times, and it's here. It's fully original, fully inventive and inspired, wacky, cartoony, just like the best Mario and Luigi games. An extra sigh of relief breathed, given Nintendo confirmed some developers from the series are working on Brothership, which is great. So even for those who don't count the remakes, hey, we're getting a new game, which I will say I'll take over Partners in Time getting remade, but we also did get remakes anyways back on 3DS, which was towards the end of that system's life, which helped way less as well, but that also supports why it's different for RPGs and Thousand Year Doors remakes. It's way different for those because of the history behind those 2 games, while Alpha Dream and Mario & Luigi was still around when their remakes dropped. But enough about that. Brothership looks amazing, but amidst the 2 primary Mario RPG franchises for the last 2 decades, a remake of both the best one and the last traditional RPG one, and a new installment after quite some time are the biggest developments so far for each one, and we have a different remake of the one that started it all. I mean hell, there are people that don't count Mario plus Rabbids, that's kind of its own thing. I agree, it's kind of its own thing. At the same time, even when Kingdom Battle wasn't full RPG, tactical RPG, it still scratched some of that itch of Mario RPGs, and between the skill tree, different character attacks and abilities, a few other things, it did still have a few RPG elements to it, but Sparks of Hope, in that game's case, that 100%, that is a Mario RPG. It has experience points, a level up system, along with a lot of Kingdom Battles mechanics, but improved in every conceivable way, pretty much. Sparks of Hope is totally an RPG, and even then the Mario plus Rabbids duology is a genuinely fantastic pair of games. So even beyond the traditional Mario RPGs, we have something of a little bit extra with the Rabbids crossover titles, and those came way before the 2 remakes in Brothership. But the other crazy thing about all of this is that RPG, Thousand Year Door, and Brothership's announcements and release dates will all be within the span of a single year, ordered by the Mario RPG's existence of origin. First RPG came, then Paper Mario, and then Mario & Luigi. It felt like just a little over a year ago, literally 365 plus days ago. Nintendo seemingly hated Mario RPGs. It made Paper Mario allergic, and Mario & Luigi's company went bankrupt after 5 years of just straight remakes, but in just 1 year, albeit they've probably been in development for likely 4 years or so since, Nintendo's Uno reversed the status of Mario RPGs in such a short amount of time, which is insane. I've never eaten so good with Mario games probably since 2017, and if we're talking just the broad scope of Mario, that's only the tip of the iceberg with this generation of Mario games. But Mario RPGs have been in the best position now than they ever have been. There have been big glow-ups within the Mario series since 2017, from New Soup to Wonder, or 3D World to Odyssey, but all the RPGs I think got some of the literal best. Switch era has become the best era and system for the subgenre of the Mario series. But with the time we're living in right now, I am left with at least five different possibilities to consider, but those definitely lean more on wishes in general, not really like, oh, they're totally gonna do this. It's stuff I want them to do, pretty much. Let me start with small stuff, we'll work our way up to bigger asks and dream scenarios. Number 1, something I wish I remembered in the Mario & Luigi Brothership discussion I made. I kinda unironically want Sephiroth as a secret boss in the game. There was a meme a while back, a power scaling meme. Can Mario & Luigi, specifically from the Mario & Luigi series, beat Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII? It's a funny idea, it's a funny meme. Every Mario & Luigi and even some Final Fantasy fans ran with it. I think it's surpassed a meme at this point, to where it could genuinely be a cool idea to put in the game. If Square Enix can approve RPG getting remade, and just looking at Square and Nintendo's history during the Switch era, which was so much better than any system by a massive margin, it's definitely possible. It's a stupid idea. It's so stupid. I love it because it's stupid, but because it would be just really cool and just out of the blue. I'm not expecting it. If we can't get Sephiroth, I'll take a lookalike mock-up character named Torpiece. Sephiroth backwards. Alright, unironic wish 1. I got 4 more. Number 2. Hopefully, we get Mario & Luigi's Italian gibberish in Brothership. That's another thing I forgot to bring up in the discussion. This being Kevin's first Mario & Luigi, he's voicing both characters in. We're set if we get his first crack at giving Italian gibberish like every other Mario & Luigi. That, I think, is the most realistic scenario of wishes I have. Here on out, though, these actually matter more. These are bigger wishes you're probably going to want to hear. The third one, I think a lot of people would love, is we get a direct sequel to Mario RPG. Not Paper Mario, but we get a Super Mario RPG 2. I think the fact the remake sold pretty darn well for a Mario RPG, especially, speaks that this format of Mario games is 100% a viable formula still, especially given Thousand Year Door and Mario & Luigi Brothership. I don't ever want to hear, ever again, Mario RPGs wouldn't be viable, fun, or profitable, since Nintendo and millions these days are still supporting them. But RPG has its own style, charm, combat mechanics, enemies, story, and such, that it is a separate type of Mario RPG in general, like Paper Mario and the others. I do think a Mario RPG 2 is in the cards, and I'm 100% there if Nintendo ever greenlights it. But for wishes 4 and 5, to me, I think the biggest outcome out of these titles, especially going into the future, is not just 4, the obvious one, Paper Mario returning to its RPG roots. It's if Paper Mario does become a creative RPG again, and I really hope it does, then 5, the most important one, I really want Mario & Luigi to not directly affect whatever Paper Mario does. I want Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi to just exist side by side while both being Mario RPGs. Like, we don't know exactly how serious this specific mindset was, but back during Color Splash, one of the interviews with Risa Tabata expressed her specifying Paper Mario was their series to experiment and try new things with, while if we wanted a Mario RPG fix, we'd go for Mario & Luigi. And it's one of those things where it's likely just her saying stuff to make it seem like they have a proper aim with their titles. We don't know how much she was just saying things for the sake of it, or if it was a mindset shared by main staff behind Paper Mario. I'm inclined to believe the former because she got a lot of heat for that interview a decade back, especially since they're bothering to try Thousand Year Door again, alongside RPG, a new Mario & Luigi, and Mario plus Rabbids, all being Mario RPGs coexisting at the same time right now. The risk of Paper Mario just going back to strict experimentation is always there, but the setup for just how much they marketed Thousand Year Door, the fact they developed it and treated it like a modern, brand new Paper Mario, and that truly shows. The fact, again, Thousand Year Door is given a full, big, built from the ground up remake, and it wasn't a lazy construction job whatsoever. How this remake is literally the most celebrated Paper Mario game in forever, and how Nintendo's allowed 3 different studios to develop 3 different Mario RPGs and let them release each one within a year of each other, practically back to back to back. Like, it's not even just my personal bias for Thousand Year Door reigning right now. Even in just Paper Mario's case, after all the backlash, all the yelling, the essays, the list of problems on top of all of this, and most other Mario titles on Switch like Odyssey, Wonder, Luigi's Mansion 3, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, other Mario games, and plenty of non-Mario series like Metroid, Smash Bros., Kirby, Zelda, and more, managing to either make games and or implement mechanics and ideas fans have wanted for decades. Pretty much just listening to fans in multiple ways. Not every way, not every game is that perfect return to form, evolution, sequel, or what have you, but more or less 80% of the major series is something the fans want. You bundle all of what I'm describing together, and you look at Paper Mario, it feel like the most tone deaf and the most baffling than it ever was before with Paper Mario, if it really does just go back to Sticker Star's philosophies now and just limit the characters they use, the scope, the style, the story, the combat and core gameplay, like they have been with the last 3 titles. It just feel like, what was even the point of bothering with Thousand Year Door besides just giving us the classic fans a bone? You know what I mean? Like, the whole thing was like, you gotta run characters through an IP team, can't be as creative, but then Thousand Year Door completely breaks against all of that. Several Mario Switch games, Odyssey, Wonder, Peach Showtime, Luigi's Mansion 3, and a couple others, like literally break whatever rules or restrictions the Paper Mario team says they have to go through. There's so many other Mario games, including Thousand Year Door, that just completely spits all over that notion. I really feel like they can't go back at this point. They face ridiculously large scrutiny, way more scrutiny than they ever did with Origami King or even Color Splash, if they did go back. At this point, this is the most it's riding on that classic style beyond how well it's sold, which we still don't know. But even in Mario & Luigi's case, how piss poorly the remake sold, or how ass Color Splash sold, but how well Origami King did. Again, it didn't stop us from getting a remake of Thousand Year Door anyways, so sales might not even be that big of a factor this time. They really just might make an RPG-focused, creative-ass Paper Mario again, with way more distinct characters and designs and whatnot yet in 4 years. But regardless of whether it does, or especially if it doesn't, I don't want their reason to be because Mario and Luigi exists. That's not just something a developer just spouted out, that's something some Mario fans have expressed as well, with way more confidence and bravado behind it, especially after that Color Splash interview. I've always felt like that's just a very surface level, misunderstood perception of what both Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi are. Like, it sounds like something someone who's played neither would say, because from an outsider's perspective, it would just look like 2 Mario RPGs that do the same thing in just a different art style. But both of their writing styles are completely different. Their tones, their settings, stories, comedy, themes, character variety across old and new characters. The combat system especially, with partners, audience members, star attacks, dozens of badges, and low numbers, versus just Mario and Luigi in the combat, with occasionally a 3rd or 4th main character. Bros moves using way more action commands, a much linear badge system, no audience, no crazier RPG mechanics, higher numbers, and some major gimmick, whether giant battles or papercraft battles. If they clashed so hard against each other, Paper Mario 64, Thousand Year Door, and Super wouldn't be half to full RPGs with all of those traits unique to Paper Mario as Superstar Saga, Partners in Time, and Bowser's Inside Story did for Mario and Luigi. I feel like it's a narrow-minded assumption because Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario coexisted as Mario RPGs with no problem for a decade in the past, and people adore them because they're Mario RPGs and the differences I listed. Those also apply for Super Mario RPG, Mario plus Rabbids. These are all Mario RPGs that each do a lot of things differently from each other beyond their visual styles. It'd be like if I said get rid of WarioWare because we have Mario Party, which is way more popular. WarioWare does the minigame approach significantly differently from Mario Party. Same if I said, oh, don't bother with Kirby games, we have Mario platformers, or don't worry about Metroid Prime being what it is, and every Prime game is like Federation Force because we have 2D Metroid. It's way more at stake when you've played all 4 of these series' games just once. They are just different types of the same genre in the same series in dozens of ways. I want the future to have both Mario RPG series we've had for a decade until the 2010s to be RPGs side by side again for the near and distant future. I mean, hell, I kind of want all 4 of them to just keep getting games and adventures with at least some RPG mechanics, but all 4 being games that touch on decent to massive scopes, great stories that test the boundaries of what a Mario game can be, what types of characters and worlds we wouldn't expect to be in these games, original characters, concepts, mechanics, etc., and evolve their respective gameplay formulas. Brothership looks to be a proper evolution and fusion of everything Mario and Luigi's combat system's done up until now. Paper Mario's style of combat's only been done twice in the series, and indie games like Bug Fables, Born of Red, and many more Paper Mario-like indie games prove there's a lot of ways you can evolve and spice up Thousand Year Door's combat. Sparks of Hope was just a significant evolution from Kingdom Battle in a lot of ways, and hopefully we could get more of what RPG does, but also expanded or take some cues on how to progress or expand from the Paper Mario and indie-like games. These are all games that deserve continuations as RPGs. There is evidently a big audience for all of them even today. It wasn't just hypotheticals or as big shot-in-the-dark gambles as some believe. Like, no. Traditional RPG gameplay is still a popular genre, and the Mario variety of them are still very popular. There is no denying it anymore. So it's just that final piece of the puzzle of just making the next Paper Mario an RPG again with new mechanics and other stuff, and quite possibly a Mario RPG too, even as Mario and Luigi and Mario plus Rabbids progressed into new RPGs just fine. But as it stands now, we're living in a literal renaissance of Mario RPGs. The best time to be a fan of Mario RPGs. And life is just a little bit better because of that. It was so Jover over a year ago, but we are so back. Give me some opinions and thoughts in the comments as always. Thank you very much as always for watching and supporting my content. And stay super.
嘿，妹妹，嘿，我来呀！共和大哈哈呀！拉面，嘿，来面，白根面，共和再见呀！哈哈，拉面，小丑面，谢谢。